Hey guys, what is happening? AnimetalViking here, and welcome to my YouTube channel, your home of all things anime and music related. If you enjoy the content that you see here, such as the video that you are watching right now, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified of all the latest uploads to this channel. Finally, you can follow me on my various social media platforms, which you will find linked in the description of this video, and you can also help the channel out by sharing this video around and leaving a comment in the comment section below. With that out of the way, on with the video. Hey guys, what is happening, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I want to talk about music, but more specifically I want to talk about the bands out there who, like me, share this strange love for all things otaku while still playing some of the most epic or brutal music that exists within the metal genre, and quite frankly not feeling any shame about it. Now, those of you who are new to my channel and have perhaps maybe skimmed through some of my content might be thinking to yourselves, what in the world could anime, manga, and all things kawaii have anything to do with that lame, edgy, screamo music that all the emo and goth kids at high school seem to like? Well, it's quite simple really. Metal music, despite being an audible form of entertainment, is also all about the visual spectacle, and no other mediums in entertainment, with the exception of movies and video games and anime, metal is no exception. There is probably a 99% chance that many of my anime audience who watch my channel may not like metal music, or at the very least are indifferent to it, but they do most certainly love a good soundtrack, I'm just assuming here, with storytelling style visuals that really enhances the mood and atmosphere of every note and gives the music a much more emotional and meaningful impact beyond being some generic background noise that you would usually hear at a party or at the club. Of course, I want to try and keep this video as short as possible. There are just way too many bands and solo projects, especially in recent years, for me to cover and list, and I'm sure it would be a lot easier to just Google or look up some of these artists and related artists on sites like last.fm or the Metal Archives, but I wanted to make this video just to quickly shout out some of the bands that I personally enjoy, and maybe even perhaps shed a light while making this video as to why the medium of animation appeals to musically inclined people like metalheads. So before we go any further, I'm basically going to divide this video up into two types of bands. The first will be those themed around a particular franchise with maybe the odd song or two in their catalog that deals with other subject matter, if at all. And the other category will be those bands that, while anime themed both visually and lyrically, generally don't stick to one particular franchise and just make their music about otaku culture in general. Also, just another note there, I am going to be splitting these bands in terms of levels of accessibility. So the first category will predominantly have bands that are of metal genres, both accessible and extreme, that are still in some way, shape or form accessible to mainstream music listeners, while the second category will be for those who are perhaps more musically adventurous or open-minded about listening to new styles of music, or seasoned metalheads. So just letting you know that ahead of time. So I guess let us begin with the first category of bands, which are the ones themed around specific franchises. Now, some of these franchises should come as no surprise to anyone both inside and outside of the anime community, purely based on looking at the artwork or hearing general discussion among people who do watch anime. But these types of shows and manga are the ones that you could deem as the so-called usual suspects, the same way Tolkien or any other fantasy author's work can be attributed to both black metal and power metal. Berserk is a very popular manga and anime franchise with metalheads, and it's not hard to see why. Everything about the story and its visual aesthetic just oozes heavy metal in style, and the best part about it is the fact that because Berserk originally came out in the mid to late 80s during the inception of genres such as the first wave of black metal, power metal and death metal, pretty much any of these three genres and their various modern subgenres and fusion genres would actually match the tone and style of Miura's work perfectly. Now, the good news for anime fans who don't particularly enjoy metal is the fact that if you are a Berserk fan... Oh Jesus, fuck. I fucked that up. Why do I suck at reading? Jesus Christ. Anyways, a self-deprecating humor aside.
Kill me, please, I wanna die.
Now, the good news for anime fans who like Berserk and perhaps don't enjoy metal music is that out of all the bands in these categories, the Berserk fandom in metal has a much wider variety of metal genres for you to choose from based on the kind of sound that you like. If you are someone who likes your metal to be catchy, poppy and anthemic with a little bit of that 80s retro vibe, then bands like Battle Beast, at least their early catalogue leading up to Unholy Savior, and Beast in Black have got you covered. Another band that does this style really well is Harlight, so if you don't like the extreme metal vocals like screams or growls, these bands are definitely worth checking out, especially Beast in Black, because they basically take everything from old school bands like Judas Priest, Accept and Manowar, and then they add a healthy dash of synthwave, 80s pop and even Nintendo styled video game arcade game synths for good measure, along with some really catchy anthemic choruses to boot.
You face happiness like a treasure. Your sparkling flame with colorful darkness. Your will to move forward and love.
Then you have some of the more extreme bands that lean into styles such as deathcore, black metal and death metal. Some of these bands include the likes of Brand of Sacrifice, Andrella Musia, Warbell and Bastard of Lauren. Now, while I might be biased here, I must say that out of all these bands, I absolutely love and adore Brand of Sacrifice, because not only do they bring the most cinematic experience to their music, but they are extremely talented, and in the short time that they have been around, they have managed to cultivate a massive following purely by interacting and engaging with Berserk fans both online and at concerts. They also probably have the freshest sound for a deathcore band, because one of their members not only has experience in both the EDM and dubstep scene, but he is also influenced by video game and movie scores, and you can definitely tell not just in how their songs are written, but by their production style too. Bastard of Lauren is also great because not only do they have the added benefit of having songs also themed around the Soulsborne games, but their music is very haunting, dark and brooding, and definitely sounds like it is best suited for the world of Berserk and its various locations, purely by bringing in that element of vampiric dungeon synth for good measure. Then finally in this category we have Human Instrumentality Project, who, if you have been living under a rock or not paid any attention to the shows that you have watched, is themed around the iconic mecha anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now, what I like about this band is that despite being based in China, they perform all their songs in Japanese to reflect the dialogue of the anime and the culture of which the story originated from. But the best element about this band, by far, is the fact that within their songs they will weave in either direct or slightly altered renditions of melodies from Shiro Sugisu's original score for the anime. They have also included moments from the various classical music pieces that play in certain scenes, both during the TV anime series and during the end of Evangelion movie, as well as various other elements. So if you are both a music nerd and a die-hard Eva fan, they are bound to hit your eardrums in the right spot. Now we move on to the next category of bands, which, as mentioned earlier, don't stick to any particular franchise or element of otaku culture. So please forgive me if this segment seems shorter compared to the first, but either there's just not that much info out there about these bands and their music, or a lot of what they touch upon is just too graphic to talk about on YouTube, and I do not want to violate any community standards, and I do not wish to be struck down by Susan and the algorithm for any reason, so I do apologize about that. So a lot of the bands listed here definitely fall on the very extreme side of metal. Far more extreme than genres such as black metal or regular death metal when it comes to songwriting, production and lyrical themes. So you have been warned, and I would only recommend these artists to either musically curious people or metal veterans. If you're sensitive to this kind of content, rather avoid these bands at all costs and stick to the ones that more casual music listeners would find appeal in, as covered in the first segment. Now, a lot of these bands and solo projects might have the odd song or two that sticks to what is stipulated in the source material of various anime and manga, but a good chunk of it is original material but themed around the darker side of otaku culture. These things include either criticisms of otaku culture itself,
Yes, I'm a weeaboo.
Why so many body pillows?
the fascination with hentai, other sexually explicit subject matter, and of course, guro art. Now, there are a lot of bands and projects in this category, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot, and I mean a lot of them, are terrible with poor songwriting, awful production, bad musicianship, and just low effort album art. But the ones I will be listing here is the stuff that is definitely the cream of the crop and actually has talent driving behind it. These bands all fall under an umbrella genre that is jokingly referred to as anime grind. This includes a lot of bands that are either brutal death metal, which mind you is different from regular death metal, slam, gore grind, grindcore, and a variety of other extreme metal subgenres. Some of the most popular and iconic bands in this scene include the likes of Dehumanizing Eater Train Worship, who I have reviewed on this channel before, Gozen, Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory, and Cheerleader Concubine, just to name a few, and who are some of my personal favorites. Then you also get a bunch of other bands that really don't know what they are doing, and they just recycle the same generic riffs and vocal styles that you have heard by more well-known non-anime themed bands like Napalm Death or Early Carcass, and just having some of the most disgustingly ridiculous names you have ever heard, like Mangled Hentai Hime or Kohai Cunt Strike. It just gets more ridiculous and more absurd the further you go along. But if I had to briefly touch on two of my real favorites, they would have to be Dehumanizing Eater Train Worship and Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory. Namely because in the case of DIW, their lyrics actually do contain genuine criticism of anime and otaku culture from the point of view of someone who is an avid anime fan themselves, and not only that, but since being themed mostly around the Love Life franchise, you will often hear plenty of melodic nods and cues to some of the anime series' most popular songs. As for YCRF, what I love about this one-man project is not only is the sound just really heavy, dark and dirty, but where on earth in this genre of where on earth at all in this genre of metal will you hear random trap beats thrown in from time to time, along with originally voice acted lines from the band's mascot character Chainsaw Chan, who actually kind of looks like Sonozaki Shion Mion from the Higurashi series, but with a chainsaw.
The birds would say.
Finally, I know I am cheating with these two bands, but the music they produce is just too damn good to ignore, and the fact that both bands have done at least an album, a song, or something anime and manga themed means that they are worthy of mention. I should also let you know that these two bands in question have a much more accessible sound, so once again this ends the last segment with the more extreme bands, and we are now back to something that should be more appealing to mainstream music taste. The first band is the deathcore, metalcore, newcore, whatever the fuck genre they like to identify as now, Within Destruction, who in 2020 released their album Yokai, which while it may have alienated a lot of their core fans who came to know them through the allegedly fake slam craze of the early to mid 2010s, it definitely attracted a lot of music lovers from the otaku side of pop culture. The main reason for this being the fact that the band decided to embrace their love for all things weeb, at least as far as a visual aesthetic is concerned.
You can be into stuff like this, that's fine. You just don't have to show it to the world.
They also marketed the album through things such as memes, and of course AMVs, GMVs whenever they dropped singles, and of course by featuring trap and rap artists popular in the underground music scene, artists such as Bill Saber, Kamiyada Plus, and Chosen. They also featured one of the former guitarists of Born of Osiris for an instrumental track, and not only that, but they even managed to get the legendary Ryo Kinoshita of the Japanese metalcore band Crystal Lake to do guest vocals on one of their songs as well. They also dropped a line of really cool anime and Neon Tokyo themed merch in anticipation of the album's launch, so if that sounds up your alley, you should definitely check them out. You can check out the line of merch on their website Sad Boy Crew, which I shall link in the description box below.
I keep trying to save you, but you shove me away. You push me away again. I keep trying to save you, save you. You won't let me see the stars. I keep trying to save you again and again. There is a way.
Then secondly, I want to bring attention to the Japanese metal band Undead Corporation. Sure, a lot of their music is themed around the Toho video game series, and since they started making their own original music, they kind of more or less moved away from the doujin metal scene in some capacity. But earlier this year in 2022, they released a song called The Chainsaw, featuring guest vocals from Chelsea Grin, Darker US, and former Lorna Shore vocalist Tom Barber. Now, according to the band, the lyrics of the song are actually themed around the manga series Chainsaw Man, of which at the time of this recording, the anime is coming out in October of this year. Now, they have apparently submitted the song to Mappa, and it would be cool if the song makes it to be the OP theme for the show, but I somehow doubt it.
Hey, that's pretty good.
The studio will probably use either a generic J-Rock song, or if they do get a metal band, it will probably be one of the more popular ones like Sim, who did the last Attack on Titan opening, or Cold Rain, who did the opening for the new Bastard anime adaptation. But hey, it's cool to know that at least a legendary vocalist like Tom Barber contributed vocals to a song themed around one of the greatest manga series to ever exist. And that concludes this video for today, folks. Now, I do have to throw the question out to you guys. What do you guys think of these bands? Did you happen to enjoy any of their music? And what do you think of the correlation between heavy metal and anime? Do you think it's a cool combo, or you're just indifferent, or do you think it just outright sucks? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, guys, I'd like to encourage you all to please smash the like button, to subscribe to the channel, share the video around. It really helps grow the channel and helps favor with the algorithm. Subscribing is free. There's no payment involved for those of you out there who maybe don't know how YouTube works. There's no payment involved, so please subscribe to the channel if you're new to the platform and you want to know more how it works, please, and hit that notification bell if you want to be up to date with the latest notifications. And yeah, guys, follow me on all my social media links, all in the description box, along with the stuff for all the bands. Join my Facebook group for more anime, meme, music and shitposting material. And until the next video guys, take care of yourselves, and until next time, have a kick-ass day. Cheers.